It says we're live. Oh, I was going to put something under my laptop to see if we could muffle the sound a little bit today, but I forgot, and I don't know if that would help anyway. It's kind of the room versus the machine. Crazy. Happy Friday. We made it. We made it all the way till Friday. I'm going to give it a second. Okay, people are hopping on. As you hop on, if you will click the link that says to put your name in StreamYard, then I can see when you make a comment who you are. Oh, let's see. I'll put this right here. Yep. And then I can put the comment on the screen. Depending on what you say. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Friday. I am Jennifer Takagi, the Chief Entertaining. Oh, wait, no, that's not right. Encouraging Officer of Takagi Consulting. I do entertain. Like, I'm going to be a comedian in my next life for sure. I'm confident about that. And I love to do these trainings. I love to train, I love to share, and I love to help people build their self confidence. My mom was the queen of that, and I like to think that I got a little bit of her in me, just a little bit. I have a friend who says that, my mom was me to the 10th power. Or no, yeah, because my mom was really, really excitable. So today I want to talk about culture, company culture, and culture catalyst. In your organization, when you walk in the door, or if you only work virtually, when you log onto the computer and join a meeting, do you know and feel the culture of your organization? Do you know what it is? Do you know what it feels like? Do you know what it is? Do you know what it feels like? And are you aware that you play a part and a role in creating that culture? So long ago and far away, when I was just a wee child, a senior in high school, my high school Spanish teacher asked me to order this brochure about a school in Mexico. And I did, because the instructions said teachers shouldn't order it, only instructors or students who would be interested in actually going. So she gave it to me and said, "Would you please send off for this and then give it to me so I know what this is all about?" I said, "Sure." Filled out the form, sent it off. Well, I get home one day and my mom is there and her best friend's in town, and I said hi, and mom said, "Oh, in the entryway is this packet. Will you tell me what that is?" And I looked and I said, "Oh, it's for my high school Spanish teacher. I'm going to take it to school tomorrow. It's no big deal." Well, my mom, unbeknownst to me, while I left and went to work that afternoon, I got home that night. She had filled out the whole entire packet. And I got home and she said, "You need to go get those papers off the kitchen table and sign your name." And I said, "Well, what's on the kitchen table?" And she said, "Oh, that school in Mexico, Dolores Ann and I decided that you need to go. And so I signed you up and you leave in 3 weeks." I didn't even want to go. I had a boyfriend. I had a job. I had friends. I had summer plans. I had things to do. But I went to Mexico that summer, and it was, one of those. I had a lot of experiences in my life that were just like game changers, but that was truly a game changer. The credits transferred to OU, so it all worked out. But when I got there, the leader of our group, which ended up being a tiny group, it was like me and one other person. When she got there and met with us, she said, "You might be the only person that some of these people, the Mexican people, have ever encountered. And it's up to you to decide what they think about Americans that they ever meet in the future. They can have one bad experience and they will hate everyone." Well, for an 18-year-old who just graduated high school, that was a huge burden, but I took it very seriously. I take it very seriously. And whenever I travel, I try to keep in mind I am representing the entire state of Oklahoma or the entire United States of America. Whatever we do, we influence a whole lot of people. And we forget when we walk into work that we're influencing people and we are establishing the company culture. We're establishing the company culture. So, in case you missed it earlier this week, I'm in Kansas right now, Manhattan, Kansas. And at the Kansas State University Veterinary School, they did surgery on my little 8-month-old Schnauzer pup this morning. And I'm here because Oklahoma State University is our veterinary school in Oklahoma, which of course was an hour away versus 4.5 hours away. But they don't have a cardiologist right now. I was told we didn't have a veterinary cardiologist in the entire state of Oklahoma. And then I just got a text the other day and it was like, oh, yeah, we have one in Tulsa, an hour and a half away. At any rate, the 3 places I called all said we did not have a cardiologist. So I came up here. People have said, why would you spend that much money on a dog? It's just a dog. Let her live her best life. She has a severe heart murmur and it would cause congestive heart failure. So by the time she's 1, at the most 3, she'll be in congestive heart failure. And that's just a miserable way to die, especially when they can fix it. So I, I came up her with her once. It was a day trip. That was a very long day. And then they said that they could fix this heart murmur with surgery. So here we are back for surgery. So I arrived yesterday. I had been here before. When I got here, because of COVID, you had to wear a mask. You had to walk up to this little outside building that they had put up just for now. And you go up and tell them who you are. And then they contact inside and say you're there and what parking space you're in. So then somebody comes out and gets your animal and takes them inside. Well, it worked really well. I would have liked to have met the people in person, but okay, it's COVID. So then when I came to get her, here came the resident cardiologist and the gal that had the vet tech who had been emailing with me and talking to me on the phone about what all was going to happen. Okay, they come carrying her out to me because she's so sweet and she's so much fun and she only weighs 9 pounds and she just kisses everybody and loves everyone. They didn't even put her on a leash. They carried her out to me. Well, I knew immediately that they obviously loved and cared for this dog. Fast forward 3 weeks, I show up yesterday. It's kind of sprinkling a little bit. So I pull up to the shack, the shed, the little constructed building. And I said, hey, I'm here to drop off Shotzi Takagi. And she said, well, you can go inside. And I was like, what? I can go inside now? Awesome. Okay, yeah, I'll go inside. So I park my car, I put my mask on, I go inside, I register at the desk. Shotzi is trying to chase everyone. So I pick her up so that, she'll quit that because she is a puppy, right? You can work on manners, but they are puppies in the end of the day. And the gal across from me sticks her hand out and starts petting her paw. And she's like, oh my gosh, she's the cutest thing ever. And I was like, I know, right? So she tells me to go have a seat. I sit down. Well, this woman just randomly is walking by. I have no idea where she came from. She squats down and says, oh my goodness, what a cute pup. I think I'll just take her to my office for the rest of the day. How fun is that? The other girl behind the desk who didn't help us comes running out and said, oh, I can't stand it. So she squats down and Shotzi is just having a heyday because she's got these two women down playing with her. Well, they have no more than stood up and started going back to work. And here comes the cardiologist and his vet tech. And they come out, oh, let's bring Shotzi back here and let's visit about her. So they tell me what's going on, what they're going to do. And he says, I'll keep you posted tomorrow on how things go. Excellent. Keep me posted. That would be great. So I leave. And last night I find a Mexican restaurant because anywhere I go, that's kind of what I'm going to find, Mexican or Italian. Find a Mexican restaurant. I've got an audiobook. I have my headphones. I'm listening to my book, eating my chips. My phone rings. And it's the cardiologist. And he is calling to tell me, no, it was not the cardiologist last night. It was the vet tech Shannon that I had been dealing with. to tell me that Shotzi had eaten not very well with the kibbles. So they gave her some wet food and she ate that pretty well. And she'd gone outside and pottied and she was happy. And somebody would call me at 11, or no, somebody would check on her at 11 and make sure she was okay. And I was like, y'all are just really spoiling this little dog tour of mine. So this morning, I had been told surgery would be like she was first on the books like at 9, but it might be a little bit late, and they would call me after surgery. Okay. 8 o'clock, my phone rings. It was the cardiologist. Hey, I just want to let you know that Shotzi had a good night. She's fine. We are first up. There were no emergencies. Oh, by the time we get to the operating room, it's probably going to be closer to 10. I'll call you by noon. Awesome. Thank you, sir. He calls back, hello, Facebook user. So he calls back at 10:30, 10:45. And he said, okay, surgery is complete. She did fine. I left to leave the residence to go ahead and stitch her up, and I'll check back with you. Awesome. Before noon, he calls back and said, hey, I just want to let you know they've taken the breathing tube out. She's breathing on her own, but she's still asleep. And Facebook user that said hello, if you just caught on, that I'm talking about my puppy who had to have surgery for a heart murmur. So the vet calls back and says, hey, I just want to let you know she's off the ventilator, or, she's off the breathing machine. She's fine. We'll check back. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. A little bit later, the phone rings again. I have a 6-hour drive tomorrow. And the vet calls back and he said, hey, she's awake. She's standing up, looking out of the cage she's in. And I wanted you to know she's done great. I know you have a long drive tomorrow, so I will be coming in early to check her. Probably around 7. She'll be ready to go by 7:30, 8 at the latest. Will that work for you? Yes, because originally I was told 8:30 to 9. So, shaving off an hour and getting on the road earlier, it's good with me. I tell you that long story because number one, I think it's super impressive. But number two, what culture have they created here at the K-State Veterinary School and their emergency hospital and everything else they have going on here? They've created a culture where not only does your pet matter, but you as the owner matter. I had a cat one time. I had to take him to the cat ophthalmologist. Yes, they have veterinary ophthalmologists. I had to take him in there. We were in there every week for months. He had a really bad infection. It was a problem to clear up. That vet had no bedside manner. It was a good thing he was a vet because he didn't like people at all. And the only reason I kept going back is because he was taking good care of my cat. He was taking good care of my cat. That culture matters. They have ingrained with the people at K-State University Veterinary Hospital, veterinary school, that taking care of the people is as important as taking care of the pets. Now, did they write that anywhere? Was it on a wall? No. Did they tell me that on the phone in one of my many phone calls? Absolutely not. It's how they treat me that matters and shows up. Every time it shows up. Today, I wanted to go grab some lunch. And, I don't know this place. I don't know where to go. And I thought, oh, Chick-fil-A, that's easy. And it's very consistent, you're going to get. I, pardon me, put it in my phone to take me to Chick-fil-A. And the line is ridiculous of cars. There are 20 cars, probably, at least. I was in and out of there in a matter of minutes. The young man, Seth was his name, and it said trainee. I wonder if he was a trainee or if he just liked putting that on there. But it said trainee. He got my order. He got it right. I don't like pickles on my chicken sandwich, so I always have a special order, and I want some mayonnaise, and I want some ketchup. He got my order perfect. When he walked up, he said, hello, ma'am. How are you? And I said, I'm great. How are you? And he goes, It's a little hot today, but other than that, I'm great. And I said, yeah, it is kind of warm, isn't it? Takes over. He's great. Why do you go to Chick-fil-A? Their sandwiches are delicious. I admit that. You go because their customer service is amazing. They have created a culture where everyone who works there treats everyone else with respect. There was one state, I'm going to say it was West Virginia, but it could have been Virginia. It was some place east of Oklahoma. They were trying to give out COVID vaccines. I don't care if you're for them or against them. It doesn't matter. That's not the point of the story. The point is they had a backup of people trying to get vaccines. They couldn't get them fast enough. They have all these people waiting in line. And I think it was the mayor said, I'm going to call the manager of Chick-fil-A. They will know how to handle this. And they did. And the manager of Chick-fil-A came out and they got it all squared away, and poof, people were in and out in a matter of minutes, just like Chick-fil-A. Why? It's their culture. It is their company culture on how they're going to do things. So the question is for you, what is your company culture and what are you doing to promote it or to change it? What are you doing to promote it or to change it? You have way more power than you think you do. You have way more influence than you think you do. And you need to know that. You need to understand that you have power and influence and you can affect the attitude of other people in the office. So in our workbooks, are you following along in the workbook? Did you get yours? Is it helpful? Do you love it? I love workbooks. I don't care what I'm doing. I love workbooks. If you don't have a workbook and you're just now joining us, send a DM. And guess what, people? Not only are we on the Facebook, we are on YouTube. And people have been watching on the YouTube channel. I don't know how they found it, but I'm glad they did. So if you're on YouTube and you don't have a handout, let's see. Why don't you email me? Jennifer@takagiconsulting.com. Why don't you email me? Jennifer@takagiconsulting.com and we'll get you a workbook. That would be great because you may not be on Facebook. I mean, I don't know why, but I have a friend who's not. So anything I do with her has to be on Instagram or text or YouTube, possibly. She might be the one on here. I don't know. But if you want a workbook and you don't have one, let me know. We'll get you one. That's an easy fix on a Friday. So to be a culture catalyst, you need to be seen within your immediate space and beyond. That's a little bit Star Warsy, isn't it? To other places and beyond. And beyond, why? Because you want to be known throughout your organization. You want to be known for what you do, what you bring to the party. And there are ways that you can do that. Some easy ways you can do that is to volunteer. You can volunteer for future projects. Why would you want to take on more work? To get your name out there so people know who you are and what you're capable of doing. I was at a training one time and I just thought I was one of the 100 whatever people in this room learning this new computer system. And this gal comes up to me, introduces herself. I had seen her around, but like she's East Coast, I'm center of the country. It's not like our paths had ever crossed before. And she said, hey, Jennifer, can you stay over 2 extra days? We'll extend your travel and be part of this meeting. And I went, yes. Why do you want me to be part of the meeting? Well, you really seem to understand the system and we could really use that input from somebody other than our normal group. I didn't even know how she knew me to this day. We became friends. We did other projects together over the years, but I don't know how she knew me. But you know what? I volunteered for projects. I volunteered to get to know what was going on in the organization, and it served me really well. Join teams. Join teams within your office. But once you join the team, then you have to play well with other people. Play well with other people. I knew a gal, pardon me, there is literally like cottonwood or something blowing in the air here, and I'm just about to choke to death. I worked with a gal. I knew a gal at work, and she volunteered for several teams to be on. And before I knew it, people were complaining. And she was complaining. She was complaining because they wouldn't take her ideas to heart. They were complaining because she never would just go along with what was working. Right? It's one thing to have ideas when things are not working. It's a whole nother thing when things are working to want to mix it up just to mix it up. So if you join a team, be a team player and play well with others. My mom used to say that all the time. If a person doesn't come to the company picnic, then I think you should does not play well with others on their year in review. My dad did not do that, but my mom thought that was really a keen thing. One of her big sayings, you got to play well with others. You need to be known, again, be out, be about, so people know who you are, and decide what reputation you want to have. Decide what reputation you want to have. You choose every day how you want to show up. You choose every day how you want to show up. Put on your big girl panties, your big boy shorts, and walk in there and be professional. Be professional and treat people with respect. Be professional and treat people with respect. Jump on the bandwagon for change. Jump on the bandwagon for change. I have been a part of multiple change initiatives, and I've done quite a bit of training for change initiatives. One organization they were so forward thinking. They had me come in and do 2 days of training for their management team because the executive director was leaving at the end of the year. And he wanted to make sure they had the skills they needed to manage this huge transition. He had been at the helm for like 25 years. It was like a brilliant move on his part. But you have to be able to be on the bandwagon and help other people get on it too. If there is a change initiative and you take the time and make the effort to know what it is and understand it, then you can help get other people on board. Sometimes you can't stop the change. It's just going to happen. It's coming. It's happening. It's a thing. Where are you going to land on that? Are you going to get on the bandwagon early or late? If you are part of a change initiative or you have to implement a change initiative, my number one tip, write this down. Don't ever penalize anyone for being the last one to the party. Do not penalize anyone for being the last one to the party. People have innate responses to change, and some of them are going to be the last, and it's okay. It's okay. Don't penalize them. Don't judge them. Don't make snide comments. When they get on, welcome them. Just welcome them and keep moving. But you need to be seen as someone who is going to promote the change within the organization. So you need to understand it. You need to understand it fully. You need to ask questions. Make sure you're fully engaged and know what's going on. Other ways that you can be a culture catalyst is to meet other people and engage with them. There's probably somebody out there watching saying, I'm an introvert. I don't want to meet people. I don't want to do that. Well, let me just tell you, even introverts have friends. And they're friends with people like me. I don't have an introverted bone in my body, I don't think. Meet other people. And as you meet other people and interact with them, then introduce them to other people that could be beneficial to all of you, right? Make sure you're sharing introductions with them. Build relationships. Build relationships. I was part of a training. It was I was a participant. It was a speaking training, and it was all different people from all different organizations. None of us worked together. None of us knew each other. Everybody was just like kind of thrown together. There were probably 25 of us. One gentleman was an officer in the Coast Guard. Coast Guard. And I had gotten a list of everybody's names and phone numbers and email addresses. And my nephew had a best friend who wanted to go on the Coast Guard. And in Oklahoma, we could not find any place to go for a recruiter for Coast Guard. So I hear this from my sister that, Jeff really wants to go on the Coast Guard. And I went, if I can find that piece of paper, I know a guy. I know a guy. So I dug around. I finally found the paper with his phone number and email address, gave him a quick call. I'm Jennifer. Do you remember me? Yes, I remember you, Jennifer. I said, well, I have kind of like a bonus nephew, wants to be in the Coast Guard. Do you have any idea where there's a recruiter in the state of Oklahoma? He goes, I think I do. I'll call you back. He called back a little bit later, gave me the name and number of somebody to call. And Jeff left us and went to the Coast Guard. Right? Because I formed relationships. I found out who the people were in the room and what they did. And that didn't really benefit me personally, but it benefited my bonus nephew. It made a big difference. As you're building these relationships, as you're learning what's going on, you're learning more about what's happening within the organization. You're learning more of what's going on in the organization. As you learn more of what's going on in the organization, then when these change initiatives happen, you can interact more fully. But when questions are asked, you can respond appropriately, or at the bare minimum, have a clue of what they're talking about and what's going on. So it's very important to decide that you want to be a catalyst for change and for the culture in your organization. If today you fired up your computer or you walked into the office as a sourpuss, I'm going to tell you, you can choose each and every day how you want to show up. You can choose each and every day how you want to show up. Jack Canfield talks about how there's a gap. There's a gap between an event and your response. And that short little gap is when you have the opportunity to make a decision of how you're going to respond. So his formula is E plus R equals O. Event plus response equals outcome. You can have two people experience the same event. Their response to it is very different, and the outcomes are very different. An example that he used was there was an earthquake in California a number of years ago, and one of the major highways was damaged. So everybody had to go another way. Traffic was backed up. There's a news reporter. He walks up to a car, and this gentleman is like, I can't believe this. The traffic is so slow. It's all backed up. And he's just having a fit, just acting a fool, having a fit. Okay, so none of us caused that earthquake, right? So, hello. I was up to the other gentleman in another car, and he said, hey, how you doing this morning? He said, well, I'm doing pretty well. I left my house at 4:30 this morning to try to get to work by 8. It's already 7. No way I'm going to make it by 8 since we're not going, but I've got a thermos of coffee and a really good book. And since we're not really moving, I've just got the car in park and I'm reading this book and I'm really enjoying it. I'm taking time. One event, two responses, two different outcomes. One guy, by the time he got wherever he was going, was fit to be tied and completely fired up. The other one was cool, calm, and collected and walked into the office and said, I'm so sorry that I left at 4:30. I couldn't get here any faster than I did. So you have a choice each and every day. If you didn't do it well today, that's okay. Why? Because you have until Monday. You have until Monday, unless you work the weekends, of course. Then you got tomorrow, depending on what your work schedule is. That's all I want to share about being a culture catalyst today. I want to remind you that the cart is still open. The doors are still open to join New Manager Mastery, the group coaching program that is launching in June. And if you go to newmanagermastery.com, there is all the information about it, why you should join, what the pricing is. If you have any questions, I will be driving a lot tomorrow. So why don't you call me on the Facebook Messenger app? You just hit that telephone. We don't have to see each other because I will be driving, but I can talk on the phone while I drive, right? I have I have Bluetooth, so we can do that. If you have any questions, reach out and ask me. Let me know. Tomorrow, we are going to be having a session at 4 in the afternoon, God willing, and the creek don't rise, that I will get to my location in time for that. If not, I'll post a comment that we're going to be late. I should get there by 4 since they're letting my little pup out early. And we're going to talk about questions and answers you might have. I'll be available to answer them for you. I've also gotten questions come in, and I'll be ready to start out by answering those. Sunday, we are going to do some mindset work. Monday, we're going to be looking at core values. And Tuesday is going to be a day in the life of a new manager. Each of these bonus sessions is just to add on to what you've already gotten and help keep building those skills. I'm Jennifer Takagi with Takagi Consulting. I'm going to sign off now, and you have a lovely Friday evening. Be sure to call me tomorrow if you have any questions and want to discuss this. I look forward to connecting with you soon.